After staying up late, Dandan moved to a different place. Her original body was still the cannon fodder that helped the female protagonist in the end. In order to save her life, she had to Dandan said, "Second senior brother, where is our eldest senior brother?" Yue Yang. Senior brother is not here, his whereabouts are uncertain. Dandan said, "Third senior brother, drawing talismans is quite fun." Lin Ye was stunned and said, "Second level divine talisman. Is the junior sister so arrogant?" Dandan said, "Fourth senior brother, this is a technique. Give it a try." Helian Mo shook his hand and said, "This is a lost technique." Dandan said, "Senior brother and fifth senior brother, why did you come?" Bai Ziyi's pupils dilated and he said, "Dan Xiang. Can fourth junior brother actually refine a pill? Fifth senior brother can ask fourth senior brother for techniques. I am still an ordinary person and need rest. I am too tired. Thank you, junior sister." Female lead. Dandan, if you have the ability to snatch my things, don't hide behind your senior brothers. Dandan said, "I'm not. I'm so fragile and my spiritual cultivation is poor. I don't want to go out and be beaten by you." Yue Yang. Lin Ye. Helian Mo Bai Ziyi. Jun Han. Junior sister, no one is more stingy than you, it's so spicy. Junior sister Gou+Free Play+Funny+Brainless and refreshing Writing+ with CP+Some Abdominal black +. Note. This article is toxic, please do not click if you do not like it. Welcome everyone to join without a brain, Omega. Chapter 1. Earn silver upon coming. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. The hall of Yunho mansion is spacious, but it cannot accommodate the small figure kneeling on the ground. The entire space is filled with a feeling of sadness and despair. Tell me. Why did you poison your sister? Just because you found out a few days ago that you're not a child of the Yun family, aren't you my daughter? The woman's gaze was cold and sharp, contrasting with her previous gentle demeanor, staring at the petite figure on the ground. Dandan was a bit confused, and the pain in his knee reminded him that it was real, as if he had really worn a book. Setting aside the emotions of the original owner, I couldn't help but feel a sense of malice in my heart. The black-hearted Yun Piao actually harmed 1,000 enemies and self-harmed 800, poisoning himself to frame the original owner. However, do you remember in the text that it wasn't poisoning? After all, the original body has lived to near the end. Yes, I was reading a novel in bed all night. Because the name of the female cannon fodder in the book was the same as my own, I was curious to open it. While reading it, I wrote comments and roast about it. There were probably 10,086 comments. And maybe it was because I worked during the day and stayed up all night, and successfully died suddenly. As soon as I opened my eyes, I was pulled to kneel here in a daze, listening to the old lady in this seat nagging. This mother.in.law is not someone else, she is the original mother. The original body was picked up by this woman because she lost her own biological daughter, which is very foolish. What does it matter to me if she's poisoned? Did I let her come into my room? My heart turned white for a moment, then I stood up and patted the non-existent dust on my clothes. I gave the woman a sidelong glance, really thinking that I was just a cannon fodder supporting actress and easy to bully. You've turned your back, kneel down for me. If you want to kneel, you should kneel. Apart from the person I want to kneel with, no one else can bend my knee. You. Okay, you're doing great. Zhou Yuqin's fingers were trembling with anger. This white-eyed wolf, who had been raised for 13 years, now has hard wings. I'm fine now, there's no need to be any better, I'll be proud no matter how good I am. As soon as these words fell, several maids around widened their eyes, looking at this once soft and weak young lady. She was really amazing, daring to confront her petty and cruel mistress. It's upside down, you white-eyed wolf. If I had known, I should have strangled you when I found you. Unfortunately, not only did I not die, but I have also grown to 13. Are you angry? Puff. The maidservant next to her couldn't help it anymore, but due to the presence of her mistress, she didn't dare to continue. Instead, she closed her mouth and blushed. Zhou Yuqin gave them a glare, then her eyes turned slightly and she said, when Pia Piao wakes up, go apologize to her. Do you understand everything she needs in the future? Yun lightly waved his sleeves, placed his hand beside his ear, and probed around. What? What are you saying? The wind is so strong, I can't hear. Ha ha ha. Now, the maid in the main hall couldn't hold back any longer and burst into laughter on the spot. Laugh. What are you laughing at? Just drag me out and play 20 games. And you? If you don't want to stay at the Marquis's mansion, get out of here. Don't come back. Zhou Yuqin's teeth were itching with anger, and her eyes were filled with anger throughout her mind, forgetting her previous plans. Oh, really? I'm quite happy without a mother like you. Let's go, we'll never see each other again. Yun lightly turned around and left, not even looking at the enraged Zhou who was about to faint. Zhou is usually very indifferent to her original self, sometimes even taking it out on her, and has no pocket money. She is very poor. You. Bang. Hurry up, madam has fainted. What? Faint. Zhou sure is really careless, why don't you look back and see if she choked up? In the hall, the maids looked at the fallen figure. Look at me, I look at you, but no one came to help. Aren't you helping her up? A maid who was close by heard Yun's faint voice and walked over in a casual manner. As soon as she lifted her body, she heard her words again, and her consciousness relaxed. Are you not afraid that she will slap you when she wakes up and then let you continue to hit the board? Dong, Zhou was about to wake up and knocked out. Ha ha ha, it's really interesting. Yun Dandan walked to Zhou's side, fumbled for a while, and then had a few more money notes in his hand. After glancing at them, he pulled down the wallet from her waist before leaving the hall. No matter how small a mosquito is, it is still meat. This money is enough to plan for oneself. Knowing the original text is good. The maid beside her watched her operation, her eyes wide open in shock, as if she had just met this young lady for the first time. Yun Dandan ignored them and turned back to his residence. After quickly packing a few clothes and valuable items, he slipped away through the back door. The world is vast, where can't we go? Moreover, the original body is a water spirit root. As long as she joins any sect, she can survive. Unfortunately, she forgot that she is now a weak little chicken who cannot practice, little chubby vegetable. After selling some things, I bought a map and went to the tea house to sort out my thoughts and choose a sect. Hey, have you heard about it? What? The young lady retrieved from the Marquis of Cloud Mansion has been poisoned by the original fake young lady and is still unconscious. Is it really fake? Of course it's true. I have a friend of my cousin's daughter's younger brother who is on duty inside, it's definitely true. Isn't she going to die? After all, she harmed someone else's own daughter. That's not necessarily true. Originally, today was the day of family recognition, but what happened was that we had to wait until the real lady woke up to deal with it. Hey, without blood ties, according to someone like Lady Yun, it's probably death. It's a pity. The person shook his head and said, perhaps he won't die, after all, he has been raised for over a decade. Mrs. Yun may let her go. It depends on whether the unconscious person will be held accountable after waking up, after all, it's their own daughter who is harmed. What did the old lady think and why did she poison her? Yun Dandan drank a pot of tea with a cold smile in his heart. In fact, the female protagonist was taking a pill, which appeared to be a symptom of poisoning to outsiders both in appearance and examination. As long as it took more than half a day, the efficacy of the medicine expired, and there was nothing wrong with it. This was all mentioned later in the article when the female protagonist killed the original protagonist. It was only when she first thought about it that she remembered. If it weren't for your secret helper, I really wanted to tease you and see if it would cause the world to collapse. She murmured softly. The truth of the matter was that the clouds were floating down and poisoning the original body. However, when the original body didn't know it was out of breath and she wore it on herself, she opened her eyes and scared her, afraid that the Zhou family would blame her and make a mistake, so she directed and acted out a counterattack. The primary task now is to participate in sect selection, but going alone is definitely dangerous. The best thing is to find a team together, but how should we find them? Chapter 2 has a general idea. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Yun looked around lightly, and when he saw a figure, he quickly lowered his head and put the package behind his head. Why did Zhou wake up so quickly, and even sent someone to find him? It seemed that he was very angry. The butler looked around, except for a girl who carried a bundle on her head. There were other young girls with packages, but they didn't see the person they were looking for, so they turned around and left. Because these 2 days were the day to set off for the sect selection, it was normal for him to bring his luggage, so he missed the person he was looking for. Yunho Mansion Hall. Didn't find it. What are you raising for? Let me find it again for my wife. Zhou Yuqin gritted her teeth in anger. This damn girl took away her private money while she fainted. It took her more than 10 years to save so much. The more she thought about it, the more angry she became. Someone. There was a guard walking outside the hall, and watching the pale-faced mistress, her heart twitched slightly. This young lady is really capable of making Madame angry like this. Offering a reward of 100 silver leaves, bring back Dandan to me. Yes. The guard was about to leave when he was stopped and said, slow down, there's no need to catch him. Go find Elder Su and come over. I need to find him if I have something to do. No matter what spiritual roots she has, if she were destroyed, she would only be a mortal. Will she still let herself vent her anger when the time comes? At night, at the Marquis's mansion. Yun Piao woke up from the room and summoned a book. She's not unconscious, what's going on? Didn't you say as long as she's unconscious? I don't know why she didn't get hit, maybe. Humph, this time we lost, she definitely won't let me get close again. What do you want me to do? Since it doesn't work now, it means. Forget it, you can damage her spiritual root first, as long as she can't cultivate, don't really waste it. What if it's really useless if you're not careful? I'll give you a solution, just do as I say. Okay, I'll go find my mother first, I can't let her see the flaw. On the other side, Dandan left the tea house and headed east, which was a city where various sects recruited disciples, called Luoxua City. With money in hand, I didn't panic. I rented a carriage and went there. As long as I entered the Zoneman, I wanted to live until I had the final say. Yunho Mansion Hall. Piao. How are you? Yun Piao's face was rosy, not at all like a poison person. Mother, where is Dandan? Zhou Yuqin snorted coldly, her face turned pale. You ask her what's going on, but she has poisoned you. The poison has been detoxified, and what she has administered is the kind of poison that will recover after an hour. What? Zhou Yuqin was stunned, and then her expression darkened. Since she was not her own daughter and had already offended her, she could only handle it. Otherwise, she might even kill herself in the future. Where did she go? Humph, speaking of this, I get angry. She ran away and even took my private money. Damn it. Yun Piao was stunned. How could this mother be so foolish as to let her run away? Piao, what are you asking her to do? Mother, you misunderstood. She told me she just wanted to see if you would worry if I got poisoned, afraid that I might come back and suffer injustice. Clouds should not run away, let alone disappear from one sight, otherwise how can one shine brightly in the future? Zhou Yuqin is dumbfounded. What's going on? Is this a combination of fake and real daughters deceiving oneself? Then she ran away, can't we still retrieve her? Did she run? She can't run far either. She has spiritual roots and naturally goes to participate in the sect selection test. Just go find her. Pia Piao, are you also going to participate now? Well, let's prepare the car. Yun Pia Piao's attitude is quite arrogant, completely different from the appearance of the peasant girl before coming to the Marquis's mansion. Zhou Yuqin nodded with a smile in her eyes, watching as the clouds drifted away. Someone, go and see why the Venerable has not come yet. Yes. Not long after, an old man with a gloomy face left the hall, driving a carriage with clouds drifting towards Luoxua city. After a month, perhaps he could complete the task given by his wife without stopping. Perhaps it was fate that there were mountains and forests on the way to Luoxua city, and it was not possible to travel by carriage. Yun Dandan had to get off the carriage and walk alone. In half a month, the three of them met, with their 6 eyes each with their own thoughts. Yun Pia Piao's eyes flickered slightly, and he felt that the faint cloud seemed to be different, but he couldn't tell exactly where it was different. Su Meng arched his hand and said, "Miss, since we've met, why don't we go together?" Yun faintly retreated a Xiang, and he had already turned against Zhou. The offerings in this mansion cannot be unknown. What does calling himself Miss mean? No need, it's good for me to drive on my own. My younger sister, no matter what, came from the Marquis of Cloud Mansion and naturally remains a family. As for my poisoning, it was my mother's misunderstanding. Don't mind. I don't mind being a ghost, pretending nothing happened here despite harming the original owner, cunning woman. There's no misunderstanding, stay away from me. Yun Pia Piao choked and looked at Su Zifeng beside him, gesturing for him to persuade him. Su Meng thought of his task and nodded before speaking again. Madame Yun said that she was angry before and still cared about big things in her heart. Miss Eyre, I took the money with me. It was originally a dowry saved for you. Yun Dandan said, who took the money? I didn't take it, don't slander me, teasing. Do you really think I haven't read the original text? Do you really think I don't know what Zhou's thoughts are? Miss Eyre, would you like to hear a few words from me? It was explained by Madame, about why she is so indifferent to you. What does it mean? This matter was not mentioned in the article, is there really a reason? Yun Pia Piao was also unexpected. I have no feelings or understanding for my mother, and I am also curious to hear this. Su Gongfeng, I also want to hear something. Su Meng shook his head and said, sorry, Madame only allowed me to tell Miss Eyre. Since that's the case, let's listen to it, Yun Dandan said as he watched her deflated expression. The two of them left here and came into the distance, until the clouds drifted and their backs could no longer be seen. Miss Eyre, Madame said that the money should be considered as compensation for you. Oh, is there anything else? And there's also. Just as Yun Dandan was about to listen, he suddenly felt a strong aura from the person next to him. He turned his head and was staring at his fierce eyes, suddenly stunned. Bang! This attack was fierce, even if it was a lucky escape, it still hurt my stomach and there was still some pain there. After a few breaths of contemplation in Yun Dan's mind, he realized that he wanted to destroy his spiritual roots. So vicious. Looking at the pit on the ground, she turned her head back and ran. Yun Pia Piao is coveting his spiritual roots, and he will definitely not let him continue to take action. Maybe he can avoid it. Chapter 3. Evil, Can't Escape. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. When Su Meng chased after him, Yun Pia Piao looked at him coldly and said, what is Su Jinfeng doing? Oh, it's okay. Miss Eyre suddenly ran away just now. I thought there was some fierce beast behind me. It turned out she was looking for Mista. It's okay. There must have been something wrong with the commotion just now, and when Yun Dandan came out, he seemed to be covering the elixir field. The spiritual root belongs to himself and others have no confidence in taking action. It's better to destroy it yourself. Seeing that Su Meng dared not take any more action, Yun Dandan took the opportunity to quickly distance himself from the female lead and said, "Watch out for the people in your marquis's mansion. Pupils. I didn't expect you to leave earlier than me. I went out to find you to walk with, but we were half an hour apart." The three of them turned their heads and saw a little girl in a pink dress with a slightly delicate appearance walking over with a fake smile on her face. Yun Piao said lightly, "My younger sister is angry and left alone. I had to leave early. I'm sorry." Wu Zhu just saw the person beside her, with a clear and tender face and a slight blush between her eyebrows. She was calmly looking at herself, as if she didn't know her. "Why is Yun Dandan here? Oh, I forgot. She might also want to see if she can enter the sect. She's such a wild girl who wants to become a phoenix," with a slight hum in her heart as she looks at Yun Piao. It's okay. You guys just happened to meet. Let's go together." Yun lightly glanced at her eyes, then turned around and left. This Wu Zhu, after the female protagonist returned to Yun Ho's mansion, abandoned her original owner. It was truly a reality. Sure. Yun Piao let go of the hand he was holding. There may not be a chance this time, but he will definitely be able to successfully poison before entering the sect. Let's go then. I'm alone. Although there are no wild animals in this mountain forest, it's still a bit scary at night. Then let's go together. Wu Zhu immediately smiled and walked over to grab her arm. Thank you, but won't Yun Dandan be with us? What? Yun Piao turned his head and found that he could only see a small silhouette quickly disappearing in front of him, but it turned out to be stealing and running away. Luoxua City is very lively today because the 5 great gates and some small and medium-sized sects are recruiting disciples, and the central square is particularly lively. I heard that the rules for recruiting disciples in the 5 great gates are that the 3 spiritual roots are miscellaneous workers, only the 2 spiritual roots can enter the outer gate, the single spiritual root is the inner gate disciple, and if the spiritual value is full, it is the core disciple. Mutated spiritual roots can directly become the core disciple. Sigh, don't think about the rest. It would be great to be able to enter the outer door. Yun Dan's eyes flickered slightly, wouldn't he be able to enter the inner gate of the big gate? Thinking of this, my eyes instantly sparkled. Cough. Everyone be quiet. Everyone looked up and saw an old man in a white robe floating in the air ahead, carrying a fairy-like spirit. I am the Lord of the Fallen Snow City. Everyone will test it together and choose their own sect. However, generally speaking, the 5 major gates are your first choice because they are very strong in terms of resources and security. There are now over 5,000 people in total. After testing, you can choose from the right side one by one. The first one is naturally the Thunder Shao sect, followed by the Flying Immortal sect, 7-Star sect, and Beast Control sect. The medium sect is the Shenzhen sect and Qingyun sect, and there are 10 minor sections. You can go and see for yourself. Now place the test monument. With a loud roar, 5 stone tablets rose from the ground of the square, all black as ink, about 2 zhang high. Now queue up, each team has about 1,000 people, stand up. The crowd was crowded, and some women, due to their thin and weak bodies, were held and stood in the queue. Yun Dandan was one of them. I really know what it feels like to be overwhelmed by a sea of people. It's too frustrating and I don't have any choice. Zhang Hai, the 3 spiritual roots of earth, wood, and water, the soil is 90, the wood is 40, and the water is 40. Yun lightly turned his head, and the elder who recorded it just finished shouting. The elders of the first 5 sects did not speak up, probably not interested. With a casual glance in his eyes, he suddenly saw a person walking towards the elder of the Thunder Xiaozong and handing over an object, which was Yun Piao. Elder Zhang's token. Yes, may I know if it's possible to enter the inner door? Sure, you can stand back and wait. Yes. A token for entering the sect. In the original text, there was something like this, but it was when the female protagonist took her with her when her original spiritual root was damaged. Now that she has arrived and avoided the damage to her spiritual root, she went to the first sect. So, she should go to the second sect. If we are not together, we will definitely not die. Lala, Luo Yun, single water spirit root, root full. Wow. Everyone's gaze converged, and there were people with various expressions. The eyes of the elders of the first 5 sects were even brighter, looking straight at Luo Yun. I, Lei Xiaozong, promise you the identity of a core disciple. Would you be willing to come? Humph, perhaps as your core disciple of the Flying Immortal sect, the elders of each peak are available for you to choose teachers. Would you be willing to do so? I, the 7-star sect, grant you the status of a core disciple. The deputy sect leader can accept you as an apprentice. Would you be willing to do so? Hehe, my beast control sect is like the 7-star sect. If you're willing to come, I'll give you a local cultivation method to choose from. How about that? Luo Yun's face remained calm, but he was actually a bit excited and didn't know how to choose. He didn't expect that the first 5 sects would all require him, but he could only choose one. Although the conditions of the Royal Beast sect were tempting, his divine sense was not strong. I will choose the 7-star sect as my disciple. Ha ha ha, okay, come and register. The conditions I just provided for my insurance are true and valid. The elder of the 7-star sect stroked his beard and proudly scanned the other 4 sects, which was called a DSE. Before coming, the deputy sect leader had said that if there were geniuses, just grab them. Except for the position of the future junior sect leader, everything else would be fine. However, he was his own son, but one person ignored him because the elders of the Xiaoyao sect were sleeping. Wu Zhu, dual spiritual roots of wood and soil, 70 wood and 40 soil. The 5th team tested very quickly, and Yun Tiandan, who was standing at the bottom of the middle end, soon had his turn. Learning from others to put their hands on it, the water blue light instantly bloomed from the stone tablet, shining brightly, but then fell to half in an instant. This movement directly alarmed all sects, except for the Xiaoyao sect. Elder Lei Xiaozong also looked at her unexpectedly and said, "Come here, I'll help you pulse." Yun looked at the light lightly, and his mood suddenly became less beautiful. He quickly took a few steps over. Su Wuya held her pulse, her face a bit heavy, and explored the spiritual roots of her dantian, as well as her body. You were originally a single spiritual root, but unfortunately, it was damaged. What? Whether it was other elders or test disciples, she was all amazed, but her eyes were filled with pity as she looked at her. If her spiritual roots were damaged, there was no way she could do it. In this life, she would only be a mortal, but if she had strong spiritual power, she could barely become a short-lived talisman cultivator. The elders of each sect shook their heads and sighed, "It's a pity that you're a good seedling." Sigh. Yun Dandan's face suddenly turned black. Su Meng's palm seemed to be running towards Dantian, wanting to destroy himself. At that time, it only hurt a little, but I didn't expect it to be so serious. The original text was destroyed by someone unknown, but now it still hasn't escaped. The matter of destroying one's spiritual roots is either Zhou or the female lead, but the possibility of the female lead is higher. Chapter 4. Sorry, my hand slipped. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yun Piao looked up and looked at the person in front of him who was stunned. He spoke to the nearby elder of Thunder Xiaozong. Elder, my grandfather said that this token can bring another person into the sect. May I ask if it's possible for my sister to join the Cloud sect? Su Wuya pondered, this token can indeed be entered by 2 people, but are you sure you want to take her to the Thunder Xiaozong? Sure, although she is not my own sister, she has also been raised in the Marquis's mansion for more than 10 years and still has a familial relationship with her mother, so naturally she also has feelings for me. Good child, but if she enters, she can only be a miscellaneous disciple. Ask her before we talk. Would you be willing to enter the outer gate of Thunder Xiaozong? No one answered. Cough. Ah. What's wrong? Yun Piapiao's mouth curved slightly and he said, Sister, I'll take you to the Thunder Xiaozong with the token given by my grandfather. Come on. Yun gave her a faint glance, but didn't expect the plot to return to this point. Can't it be said that it can't be changed? No. I don't believe it. No need, I believe even if I damage my spiritual roots, I can still find a way sooner or later. My life is up to me, not heaven. Okay. You said it well, Everyone looked around and saw the sleeping old man of the Xiaoyao sect taking a fierce sip of the wine gourd, admiring her. The slight blush between his eyebrows added a touch of mystery. Girl, I want you from Xiaoyao sect. Would you like to come? I am willing. The clouds are drifting rapidly, so birds naturally need to be kept by their own side. Otherwise, they are uncontrollable and if they die in the middle, it won't work. Sister, as the first major sect, Lei Xiaozong has many resources and methods. Maybe there will be a way to restore your spiritual roots someday. Xiaoyao sect, a bit poor. When it comes to the last 3 words, my voice is a bit weak, after all, speaking in front of the elder of Xiaoyao sect is still very offensive. Yun Dandan didn't hear her last 3 words because she was thinking about the content of the original text. The female protagonist in the original text received the original protagonist's spiritual roots but took a pill, which relieved the pain. Because it was very important, the author wrote this paragraph very carefully, as long as she collected all the spiritual herbs. I think the Xiaoyao sect is quite good. The name sounds free, and since this senior admires it, the disciples will join the Xiaoyao sect. Okay, girl, come over here. Feng Jiu grinned, this girl has the courage and looks obedient. Those little brats on the peak must be very happy to have such a self-reliant junior sister. Maybe they will snatch it. Cough, bring back some method to treat spiritual root damage, then. Hee. Yun Piapiao gritted his teeth secretly, feeling like after sleeping for half a day, everything was out of control, and this old man from the Xiaoyao sect was meddling in something. But no matter how unwilling you are, you cannot offend this elder. Half a day later, everyone finished testing. This time, there were 8 single spirit roots, 3 from the Thunder Xiao sect, 2 from the Flying Immortal sect, 2 from the 7-Star sect, and 1 from the Imperial Beast sect. No one went to the Xiaoyao sect, with 15 from the double spirit roots and over 50 from the 3 spirit roots. The disciples who passed by will wait for a moment, and after 2/4 of an hour, they will call their names and set off. The old man's voice fell, and the crowd began to liven up. Yun Piapiao took advantage of the situation and walked towards the side of the Xiaoyao sect. Sister, you need to consider carefully. Maybe you can solve your spiritual root problem soon after joining the Thunder Xiaozong. No need, you go to your Lei Xiao sect and I go to my Xiaoyao sect. From now on, I have nothing to do with the Yun family, nor do I have anything to do with you. The clouds are faint. Piapiao used a token to take you to the Thunder Xiaozong, but you are so ungrateful that you still want to leave the Yun family. What a white-eyed wolf. Pop. The sound of applause was very loud, attracting the attention of many people, and the 3 of them directly became eye-catching entities. You. How dare you hit me? I'm sorry, my hand slipped. It's mainly because my sister was too kind to me, which made me feel a bit unreal. After all, before coming here, she even poisoned herself and now she has been wanting me to join the Thunder Xiaozong. It's really amazing. Everyone's eyes sparkled. Oh my god, what kind of melon is this? Did you miss it? What a pity. There was a flash of panic in Yun Piaopio's eyes, but he soon calmed down. People here didn't know what was going on, and they had to decide the final say. What did my younger sister say? It's just a stubborn illness, and sometimes I sleep for so long. It's just a misunderstanding from my mother. Since you don't want to go, I won't force you. When she enters the Xiaoyao sect, if she can't bear it, she will definitely turn her head to join her, and then she will let herself knead flat and round. Hee. Yun gave a faint glance, really thinking that I didn't know what your plan was. After the spiritual root is cured, you must try to see if it can cure you. Wu Zhu, this is a healing pill. I apologize for my sister's situation. Wu Zhu's eyes suddenly widened and happily pulled over the pill, which was a scarce item. Okay, then I won't argue with her. The clouds are faint, look at how kind Pia Piao is. You are really, watching her raise her hand, Wu Zhu immediately changed her tone and said, you really should learn. I've changed your temper, and you're not like this before. Yun Pia Piao's eyes flickered slightly, alright, let's go back to Lei Xiaozong. After a moment, Fengjiu released a spirit boat suspended in the air to watch the crowd. The disciples of Xiaoyao sect quickly gathered and prepared to leave. Gather the disciples of Leixiao sect. Gather the disciples of Feixian sect. In just 2/4 of an hour, everyone in the entire square went to the previously selected spiritual ship of the sect. Girl, the other peaks of the Xiaoyao sect probably won't accept you, but my purple cloud peak accepts you. Would you be willing to be my disciple? Yun Dandan widened his eyes and said, Senior, honest people don't deceive honest people. Are you really willing to accept me, a mortal who cannot cultivate? Of course, I feel that I am very compatible with you. The disciple pays respects to the master. Yun lightly knelt down and kowtowed. After 3 heads had passed, she was lifted up. The incredulous eyes of those around her looked at the old and the young, and she didn't know why her Turan roots were damaged and she had to take them back. However, thinking that it was someone else's fault, she remained silent. Arriving at the Xiaoyao sect smoothly all the way, Fengjiu waved his hand and placed everyone except for the little girl in the square of the Xiaoyao sect, then released his own wine gourd to grow bigger. Little girl, let's go. Wu Dandan only felt something binding him before suddenly lifting it up, and finally landed in the middle of the gourd, where it was stuck accurately. The wine gourd swayed and swayed, as if it would fall off with just one release of her hand. She was so frightened that she quickly grabbed onto the gourd and tried to clamp her legs tightly. Master, how many hundred people are there in Xian Peak? A few hundred. With 7 of you, you're the 6th in line. There are 5 senior brothers in front of you, and 1 more person is my husband. Crocodile shocked. 5. Yun Dandan felt like he had entered some rare zoo, where could there be a peak with only 6 or 7 people? In the original text, there were several hundred people on a peak of Lei Xiaozong. Chapter 5. Resource Library, Sending Headers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Fengjiu turned his hand back and said, Precious essence is not much. Master, this is removing inferior seedlings. Really? But now I'm just an ordinary person. Cough, you are an exception. Xian Peak originally did not intend to accept anyone, but just thought you were very good. Although it cannot guarantee that you can cultivate, you can still be satisfied with food and clothing. Thank you, Master. There may be a way for my spiritual roots, isn't there a secret realm or something like that? Maybe my 5 senior brothers will be robbed. They found a way, right? You're right, it's time. When the wine gourd landed, he raised his voice and shouted, Bunnies, except for Jun Han, everyone else should quickly gather for me. The sound fell, pouncing on the edges, startling a group of birds. As I looked up, there were still billowing black smoke rising from the peak, heavy objects falling to the ground, and the sound of explosions. It was very lively to listen to. 15 minutes. 4 different streams of light fell to the ground, revealing 5 handsome men, each with a slightly disheveled figure and a black-gray face. Yun Dandan poked his head out from behind his master and waved at the 4 of them. "Hi, senior brothers." The 4 of them's eyes lit up, and they saw the young junior sister with a bright and tender face. The slight blush between her eyebrows made her even more playful and lovely. They couldn't help but feel happy. Ziyin Peak is also going to have a young junior sister. I'm so excited. Helian Mo touched his face, his entire handsome face smeared black, and he didn't know. "Master, what's the name of little sister?" Feng Jiu glared at him with a hint of embarrassment on his face. It seemed like he didn't even know what the 6th apprentice was called, so he scratched his head and said, "Old 6th girl, what's your name?" "Master, you are only 6 years old. Clouds are faint, as seen in the poem. Pear blossoms are light white, willows are deep green, and flowers fill the city when willow catkins fly. Donglan pear blossoms." Su Shi, Lin Ye's eyes lit up and he said, "Junior sister, you have great literary talent." "Thank you, senior brother." At this moment, the 4 of them felt that the junior sister was very polite and more friendly. Cough. Yun Dandan's face turned slightly red. He had just borrowed the wisdom of his predecessors, but these senior brothers didn't know their names. "What do you call senior brothers?" Yue Yang patted his chest and said, "I'm the 2nd oldest, named Yue Yang." Lin Ye smiled and said, "3rd, Lin Ye." Helian Mo spoke up and said, "Old C, Helian Mo." The man's folding fan shook slightly, burning with brilliance. "I am your 5th senior brother, Bai Ziyi." Yun's faint expression changed with the names they reported, and it was over. In this original text, several of his current senior brothers were safely emptied of resources by the female protagonist in the later stage, and even given away their heads. What did Master say just now? Is senior brother Jun Han? That's a great resource for the female protagonist. Although it was taken away after being slaughtered, it's also the female protagonist's resource pool. It's so sad. Oh my god, do you want to play with me like this? Now that I'm here, isn't it also a way to give away a person's head? The 4 of them looked at the new junior sister's face and looked at their master in confusion. Feng Jiu didn't turn his head and couldn't see it, but looking at their gaze, he still opened his mouth. Your junior sister's spiritual roots have been destroyed. Although you cannot cultivate, if you can obtain the treasure that restores your spiritual roots, you can still step into cultivation. If you hurt her, try your best to find it. The 4 of them stared blankly. Can't the junior sister practice? Poor thing, is it a pill for repairing spiritual roots? Then go find it, if it doesn't work out, grab it. I can't believe it. Bai Ziyi stopped shaking his folding fan and said, "Don't worry, junior sister. Even if you can't practice, senior brothers can still protect you from worry in the Xiaoyao sect. Don't worry, junior sister. I'm not afraid of trouble in Yue Yang. Feel free to call me if you have anything, and if you're in the sect, I promise to be on call. If anyone bullies the junior sister, I'll feed him poison with a single dose, ensuring there are no worries. As long as Lin Ye's life is here, I will do my best to help you find a way to restore your spiritual roots." Yun Dandan's heart was very warm, thinking of the label that outsiders had placed on them. If it weren't for the female lead, they would definitely have a good future. Thank you, senior brothers. For the sake of your thoughtfulness, I, Yun Dandan, will compete with the Heavenly Empress. Now you also know each other. Although you cannot practice at Shaolu, you are still a member of Ziyin Peak. Take this cultivation manual and disciple's uniform. Feng Jiu took out something from the space ring and turned around to put it into the little girl's open hand. Yun Dandan was taken aback for a moment. Isn't Xiaoyao's sect wearing a light blue disciple uniform? Why are both myself and my senior brothers gray? Master, is this the unified disciple uniform of Ziyin Peak? Cough, yes, there are 2 sets in total, changing clothes. With low eyes, the thin gray clothes made me doubt whether they could withstand the cold of winter. Bai Ziyi closed the folding fan and said, "Junior sister, you can wear it over your own clothes. Although our disciples' clothing doesn't look very good, it still has warmth. It's okay." "Well, thank you, senior brother. As long as it doesn't freeze to death." "You five, talk more. If I have something to do, I'll leave first." The four of them arched their hands and said, "Yes, master." As he watched the person leave, Yun calmly said, "Senior brothers, do I belong to an outer disciple or an inner disciple?" Yue Yang laughed loudly and said, Junior sister, you are all disciples of our master, so naturally you are the core disciple, not any inner or outer disciples." "What? Core disciple?" The female protagonist in the original text took 5 years to become a core disciple. She just entered any sect and was already there. It's really a blessing from heaven, it's amazing. Yun Dan narrowed his eyes into a slit and looked happily at several senior brothers. "Senior brothers, where do I live?" "You live." Yue Yang Kaker, the master didn't say where the junior sister lives, but it seems like there's an unused one. "Let's live near the foot of the peak. The fourth junior brother is usually afraid of disturbing you when refining pills." Helian Mo's eyes widened as he realized that he was not good at alchemy and had studied more. "What does it mean to disturb my junior sister?" "Okay, could any senior brother please take me there?" Lin Ye stepped forward and said, "Let me do it." "Thank you, senior brother. You're so kind." "Ah, junior sister praised me, I am so happy." Lin Ye raised his hand and released a large knife, pulling her wrist and flying onto the blade. "Hee, I'll take my junior sister down. I'll see you at the peak tomorrow morning," he said. The two of them left, and Helian Mo snorted coldly, "Look at the hustle and bustle of third senior brother. I wish I had taken a step faster just now." Yue Yang. Bai Ziyi. As they met their eyes, Lianmo didn't feel uncomfortable. Suddenly, he patted his thigh and said, "Oh no. Ah. My pill, it's over." Watching the person flying away in one go, Bai Ziyi shook his head and said, "Fourth senior brother, this batch of elixirs was destroyed when it came down. It's clearly a life of poison cultivation." Junior brother Wu is right. Although he is practicing poison, he insists on making pills. If he can't refine them, he won't be able to achieve it. He's just wasting his time. What about cloudy days in Chapter 6? Very fat. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. De Co Lois Ara Trong Quatrin Lay Text. Chapter 7. Is over, the taste is really good. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Yun lightly touched the ticket stuffed on his chest and said, "Then, second senior brother, you can take me there. Let's go and return quickly." Line. Before leaving, those chicken feathers, viscera and other things were loaded by Yue Yang. It was still late to find out. The big deal is that these days, after earning the holy stone, he bought an identical one and came back to replenish it. Anyway, Shifu never came back for a month. In the local market, Yun Jian calmly and vigorously bought a lot of things, but he didn't want to be too frugal, so he also bought some other things. "Junior sister, the storage bag is almost too big to fit." "Then let's go." The two of them came back again, and the mud had dried up quite a bit. They had to redo it before wrapping it up according to the steps. "Next, let's dig a pit and find more firewood to burn into charcoal." "Slowly wait and it's done." Yue Yang patted his chest and said, "I'm here to dig a pit and find firewood. Junior sister, please rest for a while. The seasoning that my junior sister just made seems to emit a very good taste, and it will definitely be delicious when made." After waiting for about an hour, when their stomachs began to rumble, Yun Dandan began to use a stick to pick up the charcoal. "Junior sister, it's not that troublesome. I'll do it." "Ah." Turning his head, He waved his hand and the carbon seemed to be taken out of the pit by an invisible force, along with the large mud cocoon in the middle. Watching that action, Dandan sighed softly in his heart. Having cultivation is good, it's really itchy. Senior brother, move the chicken separately to the open ground. Okay. The mud shell cracked, revealing the leaves inside. These leaves were the ones that smelled very fragrant when picked, so after being picked layer by layer, they emitted a faint fragrance. Can all of this be baked into gold? Yue Yang's eyes widened, as if a line in his mind had been connected, and he stared at the golden chicken for a few clicks. Of course, it will smell better later. Can you lend me the dagger? Okay. Silently entering the meat, it cuts open along the opening, with the fragrance of rice mixed in, making the entire mouth water. Gudong, Yue Yang swallowed his saliva, it's so fragrant. Now he has forgotten the origin of this chicken, and all he can say in his eyes and mouth is how delicious it is. I've done more. Second senior brother, please call out to the other senior brothers to join me. Okay. Yue Yang instinctively threw out the transmission note in his hand and contacted the three of them. Wow, what's so fragrant? Second senior brother, junior sister. Yun lightly turned his head and squinted his eyes into crescents. I caught a chicken here. It's so fat, I didn't expect it to taste even better. What? 5 thunderbolts thundered, and the three of them collectively petrified, swallowing saliva as they watched the golden chicken and various things inside. Bai Ziyi's fan fell to the ground without realizing it. He twisted his neck stiffly and looked at the 2 senior brothers next to him, whispering, little junior sister is referring to the chickens here, right? He nodded and said, that's right. Lin Ye nodded reluctantly and said, that's right, it's the chicken here. It's over, that's the one-tailed chicken that my master has been raising for over a decade. The spiritual grass fed every day is precious. Even the senior brother cannot touch it, right? The senior brother also doesn't care about this thing. The 4 of them will be scolded at a glance. Now Dandan just took a few bites, but when he saw that the 3 of them hadn't come over, he couldn't understand and said, second senior brother, what's wrong with the 3 of them? I don't think I can make them eat the same. Yue Yang was grabbing rice and meat with his hand, and turned his head and said, junior sister needs to make up for it. This chicken is just fine, and when I came, it died. That means there was no way to stop it. Oh my god. Helian Mo is confused. Is junior sister so fierce? That's a 1.5 foot long one-tailed chicken, how did it get killed? With doubts in mind, the 3 of them walked over, but were so captivated by the tempting aroma that they got stuck in their shells. They took the bowl handed over by Dandan and started eating. It's so delicious. Who made this? Lin Ye muttered to himself, isn't second senior brother not good at cooking? Did little junior sister do it? It's also too delicious. This rice has a meat aroma, a delicious taste, and medicinal properties. Speaking of which, he suddenly paused. By the way, this is master's one-tailed chicken, that's it. Eat it. Looking at the scene with bones left on the ground, Lin Ye spoke dryly, second senior brother, what if master comes back and asks about the one-tailed chicken? What does master ask about a one-tailed chicken? Yun lightly touched his conscience. Oh no, my heart is following me. I just ate a little too much and felt a bit full. Yue Yang glared at third junior brother. She couldn't help but pick up the pot. If little junior sister knew, she might feel uneasy, but now that she has already picked it up, she can only say. It's a one-tailed chicken that my master has been raising for over a decade. I don't know what to use it for. This is the one we're eating now, and it's the only one here because of the formation around Xiang Peak. Raised for over a decade. Dandan was extremely shocked. A chicken can still live for more than 10 years without dying, truly a world of cultivation. No, it seems like I got off track. I seem to have done something wrong. Looking at the 4 senior brothers hanging their heads, I know things are not easy. Senior brothers, let's buy another identical one. Helian Mo shrugged and said, no money, no spirit stones. Yun remained speechless and looked up at the sky. Now that everything is fine, he is even poorer. He still needs to think about how to deal with his master, which is quite miserable. After a moment of silence, she stood up to wash herself and then took out a pen and paper to write. Second senior brother knows the formation and focuses on improving physical fitness. Third senior brother knows how to make talismans, but his success rate is lower. Fourth senior brother is skilled in poison, but he stumbles on alchemy. Senior brother Wu is skilled in alchemy and has a low success rate. Third senior brother, fifth senior brother, can you two give me some detailed books on making talismans and alchemy? I want to see if you can earn some money from them. Come out with the spirit stone. Lin Ye turned his head and said, books. There are quite a few in my cave. When I go back later, I'll move them to your residence. You take your time to read them. Although she doesn't hold on to hope, if she reads a book, she definitely can't kill anymore. Well, it seems that there's nothing left to kill with master's things, only a few precious spiritual fruits left, much safer. Bai Ziyi also thought the same way, indicating that he was also prepared to send over everything he had seen. Junior sister, we will take turns calling you back from the sex cafeteria for your next 3 meals. You can pass the time by reading those books. Yun lightly pursed his lips to himself, is this to make himself feel better? But they don't say they also plan to read those books, after all, they still have to practice in the future. In the original text, the strong person can kill someone with just 1 finger. If you want to live, you naturally need to become stronger, and then you can also experience the feeling of disappearing in the blink of an eye. TSK, bang bang. Chapter 8. Was extremely shocking, 80%. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next day, Dandan buried himself in the ocean of knowledge, like an undigested sponge, absorbed and plump after 5 days of unforgettable sight. Fourth senior brother, alchemy emphasizes purity and heat, as well as the complementarity between various spiritual herbs and the quality of the alchemy furnace. Which one of you is not good at refining pills? Helian Mo put down his food box and looked at the dozens of books piled up on the bed beside him, opening his mouth in surprise. Junior sister, have you not rested these days? I'm resting now. What's wrong with what I saw on the bed all day? Oh, it's okay. Little junior sister reads books so quickly, I don't know if she understands them. In the question you asked, I used a Xianpin alchemy furnace with a purity of 40% to 30% of the liquid. However, I was unable to successfully refine the pill. Helian Mo is very sorry, does junior sister think she is too stupid? Senior brother, you can refine a pill for me to see. Okay, but you need to stay away. Upon hearing this, Dandan thought of the black smoke he had seen when he first arrived and stood not far from the cave entrance. After everything was ready, what did she see? Seeing fourth senior brother hastily throwing the herbs in, he casually refined them and continued with the next spiritual herb, followed by the unstable dong dong sound in the alchemy furnace. He was then heard shouting loudly. Junior sister, run. Wu Xun faintly felt a shadow passing by him, followed by a bang sound. The lid of the alchemy stove was blown open, and the thick black mist was like a silent wolf smoke. Cough. Cough cough cough. Fourth senior brother, are you going to murder your own junior sister? Lianmo awkwardly touched his head and said, Junior sister, I forgot that you can't practice running too fast. I'm sorry. As you can see from my alchemy, it won't even become a pill, and I don't know where the problem lies. Yun Yan gave a pale glance, as if refining like you can turn into a Dankai monster. Let's start with purity. I have a solution here. I'm not sure if senior brother is willing to give it a try. Sure. This is the kindness of my junior sister, and we can't let it down. Anyway, refining ourselves is also a waste, so it doesn't matter. 15 minutes later, everything was ready and the alchemy furnace was cleaned up. Senior brother, for each type of spiritual herb liquid you refine, evenly distribute 10 parts and put them into this small jade bottle. Finally, extract them one by one to refine the dissolving pill. Line. Helian Mo's eyes were slightly bright, and he had not tried this method himself before. Perhaps it would be effective. Speaking of which, I am still hovering as an apprentice until now, and even if I speak out, I have lost my life. Purification, refining, just as I was about to drop the bottle, I heard a sound of obstruction. Senior brother, wait a minute. Try using this technique to extract the medicinal liquid. Dozens of drawings were arranged in a row, placed on the ground next to each other, each with a gesture. I drew them based on the author's font description, which was quite laborious. Lianmo was shocked and said, "This is a lost technique. Don't be fooled, practice quickly." Oh, good. I watched it once, but didn't have time to be shocked. I condensed it 10 times in my mind before starting to use it. Quickly, the medicinal liquid transmitted a refreshing fragrance, crystal clear, which was countless times better than the previous liquid. You can put it in the jade bottle now. Helian Mo's hands trembled with excitement, as the purity must be at least 70% or higher. In the past, I couldn't even think about it. Fourth senior brother, stay calm. Dandan saw the flames unstable and immediately looked at his senior brother with bright eyes, afraid that he would destroy the medicine in one fell swoop. Okay. Half an hour later, the unique fragrance of the pill emanated in the cave, making people feel comfortable. 8 crystal clear pills lay on a nearby jade plate. Ah! I have finally refined a pill, with a success rate of 80%. Junior sister, you are amazing. Dandan looked at the finished pill and felt that alchemy was just like that. Helian Mo was dancing excitedly, feeling like he couldn't even speak, unable to describe the excitement after success. Senior brother is amazing, he will definitely get better and better in the future. I'm going to tell them the good news, so they always feel like I can't refine pills. Dandan grabbed the person who was about to leave and said, "Fourth senior brother, you need to work hard to refine pills, otherwise you will continue to decline and run out 3 times. I understand with one go, what does that mean later on? It's all written and elegant. Strike while the iron is hot and consolidate your alchemy skills. Some people refine pills faster than their senior brothers. It's because of their diligent practice that you become complacent after refining a batch of pills. In the future, alchemy will make you restless and unable to become pills." With a loud bang, Helian Mo felt something hit his mind and quickly withdrew his steps. Junior sister is right, I will continue refining now. So, the two spent a day refining in the cave. At the peak, Yue Yang placed the stone above his head with spiritual power on the ground and spoke in confusion, "Fifth junior brother, why didn't there be black smoke coming out of fourth junior brother's cave today? I always feel it's not normal. Perhaps he didn't refine it today, but it shouldn't be possible. He stays in the cave to refine it every day. Why don't we go and see?" After reaching an agreement, the two of them quickly landed in front of the cave, and waves of medicinal fragrance rushed towards them. Bai Ziyi widened his eyes in disbelief and said, Dan Xiang. Is it Dan Xiang or just out of the oven?" The two of them stepped in and saw more than 10 jade bottles and a jade plate placed on the ground, with round pills on top that were crystal clear. I dropped that god. The two of them looked at each other and saw in each other's eyes whether they had not woken up. Second senior brother, I'm sorry. Bai Ziyi took advantage of his second senior brother's daze and forcefully pinched his thigh. Ah! Yue Yang jumped up in place and said, "What are you doing? It hurts so much." Hee, I'll see if I'm dreaming. Fourth junior brother actually refined a pill. Also, second senior brother, if you haven't honed your physique, the pain means it's true. Why don't you pinch yourself? You even use spiritual power to attach the pinch. I can't pinch you without spiritual power. Yun looked up at the two of them calmly and said, second senior brother and fifth senior brother, why did you come? Let's take a look at why the fourth junior brother's cave did not emit thick smoke today. Helian Mo. Looking at his melancholic gaze, Yue Yang awkwardly touched his nose and smiled, hee. Humph, now that I see it, what's up? Who said I can't refine pills? Fourth senior brother, you cannot be arrogant or complacent. Oh, I got it. Bai Ziyi was surprised and said, fourth senior brother, how dare you listen to little junior sister so much? Why not listen? If I don't listen, I won't be able to successfully refine pills, let alone so many. What does it mean? The two of them looked at him in confusion, and after hearing what the junior sister said, they succeeded in refining. Chapter 9. Moved, Departing. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Under the flash of Bai Ziyi's spiritual light, she thought of the books of the little junior sister yesterday. Did she say that by reading those books, she could have refined the elixir guided by the fourth senior brother? And it's so successful, God. Lianmo put the pill into the jade bottle and said, I followed the method and technique suggested by my junior sister, and refined the pill on the first attempt. Before becoming the pill, I looked at the liquid and found that it was 70% pure. The success rate of becoming the pill is 80%. Oh my goodness. Yue Yang opened his eyes wide and looked at the ordinary junior sister on the side, it's amazing. I can't imagine how amazing it would be for everyone if my junior sister could cultivate. As soon as these words fell, the air suddenly fell silent. Helian Mo's originally excited heart instantly calmed down and looked at the person with a calm expression on his face. Junior sister, aren't you sad? Since I can have fourth senior brother refine a pill, then one day I will definitely be able to practice, don't worry, Yun said with a slight bend in his lips. Junior sister, what do you have in mind? Yes, but I'm not sure if we can succeed. Yue Yang's eyes lit up and he said, you said, no matter what you need, as long as you can cultivate, even if our senior brothers turn the tables, they will still find it for you. Touching is a beam of sunshine in the daytime, illuminating the corners of life and bathing our hearts in warmth. At this moment, Dandan felt that his heart was filled with a kind of familial affection that he had never experienced in his previous life. Thank you, senior brother. It's some spirit herbs. I'll write down their names and you can help me see how many spirit stones I need. It took half an hour to finish writing the name of Ling Chao. Fortunately, I have a good memory, otherwise I would have to wait until later to snatch it from the female protagonist. Bai Ziyi and the others looked at the 100 types of spiritual herbs on the paper, stunned. Junior sister, where did you get the ancient elixir? Is this an ancient elixir? I don't know, but I accidentally got it. Originally, my spiritual root was fine, so it burned down. Unexpectedly, sigh. It is necessary to keep the senior brothers away from the female protagonist, as they cannot become fish in the pond. This way, the fertile water cannot flow into the fields of outsiders, and it can also prevent the senior brothers from being killed by the female protagonist. Now is just the right time. Bai Ziyi was careful and heard the key point. His eyes narrowed slightly and he said, Junior sister, are you saying that your spiritual roots were not a problem before? Yes. What? Who is so ruthless in destroying your spiritual roots? Yue Yang's face was filled with anger. Little junior sister is still so young, yet someone so malicious has ruined her future. Yes, it's my older sister, not my own. Dandan's eyes turned red as he choked up and said, I thought my mother didn't treat me well because she didn't like me being a girl. I didn't expect that I wasn't her child. Later, when her daughter came back, I thought it was nothing. However, the elder sister actually poisoned herself, causing me to be expelled from the Yun family. On the way to the sect assessment, she let the elders of the family's offerings take action to destroy my spiritual roots. Dong! Helian Mo slapped the alchemy furnace with a palm and was extremely angry. What is the name of this snake-scorpion woman? Yun Piao, I have broken with her and her family, and I will no longer return to the Yun family. Now Xian Peak is my home, you are my relatives, and my master is my grandfather. Yun looked at the three with a sincere expression on his face. After seeing their hearts for a long time, perhaps they could be trusted. Bai Ziyi folded the fan and said, "Don't worry, junior sister. If you encounter me in the future, senior brother will definitely vent your anger on your behalf. Alas, if senior brother harms her, others will speak ill of you, which is not good. What's wrong with that? If she hurt you, you should get it back. We're not angry about it." Yue Yang laughed and said, "Haha, junior brother Wu is right. Junior sister, you are our junior sisters and naturally we will protect you. We will recover the injuries you have suffered. Thank you, senior brothers. Let's talk about this later. Can you come with me to a place tomorrow? Bring more jade bottles." In the original text, the female protagonist will receive an opportunity 10 days after entering the sect, quickly improving her cultivation and gaining some hearts. Although it is unclear whether she can snatch it, giving it a try is always right. Helian Mo took a step forward and said, "Junior sister, I must arrive tomorrow." Yue Yang nodded and said, "I'll accompany you tomorrow." "Well, thank you, senior brothers." Yun lightly turned his head and said, "Fifth senior brother, aren't you also a Dan Shio?" Coincidentally, I told fourth senior brother the method. You two can communicate and exchange ideas. I'm still a mortal and need to rest. I'm so tired now. Bai Ziyi's eyes widened slightly, and he was also very excited in his heart. He was stuck in purity, and even the fourth senior brother could refine 70%, so he could definitely do it himself. "Thank you, junior sister. I'll take you back to rest first." The next day, Lin Ye was dragged up from the bed by three senior brothers early in the morning. "Second senior brother, what are you doing? Where are you going to pack me? Don't talk, hurry up. Little junior sister's safety is important. Let's work together and there won't be any problems." "Ah. What does that mean?" Bai Ziyi gently shook the folding fan and said, "Help the little junior sister pick up some things. She called us a few together, indicating that it may be dangerous, that's why she brought you along." "Oh. Being taken to the foot of the mountain in a daze, I saw the little junior sister squatting on the ground, pulling grass. It didn't seem like there was any danger at all." Upon hearing the commotion, Yun Faint stood up and smiled brightly at the four of them. "Are you ready, senior brothers?" Junior sister, your third senior brother has a talisman in his hand. With him, even if there is any danger, he can use the talisman to delay time." Lin Ye gave a white glance, and together with the three of you, it was my talisman. "I know, let's set off. The goal is to travel half a day west outside the Xiaoyao sect. I will inform you when we reach the destination." 5 people set off, and Lianmo handed a bottle of elixir behind him. "Little junior sister, there is a pigu pill inside. If you're hungry, take one, but don't eat too much, otherwise your body won't be able to handle it. Just take a pill that can last for 3 days. Yes, you can use it. If you don't have it anymore, ask me for it. I have about 10 types of spiritual herbs in my cave, so I'll keep them for you. I'll sell you some pills for the rest." "Thank you, senior brother." "You're welcome, there are only a few precious spiritual herbs. As long as I refine some more, it will be enough to buy 10 servings. Fourth junior brother, how could this make you all stand out alone? We senior brothers will all contribute, after all, she is also our junior sister." Yue Yang flew his magic weapon close and said, "Except for our senior brother who hasn't returned yet, the 4 of us have exactly 2 portions per person, and the remaining 2 portions. I'll come out." Helian Mo and Bai Ziyi spoke up at the same time, and with the help of their junior sister, it was only right to contribute more. Besides, being prepared always means being prepared. How poor is Chapter 10? Administer medicine. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Yun's pale eyes widened as the four senior brothers treated him so well. How could they not be moved? The female lead. Group extinction. I know the whole text myself, see who can destroy who. At this moment, she only felt a blazing fire burning in her chest, and if the heavens stopped her, she could burn a hole out. While the 5 people were marching, there were also 3 people moving towards this direction outside of Lei Xiaozong. Miss Yun, are you sure there are natural resources and treasures? Yun Piao's eyelashes drooped and his eyes flickered slightly. Yes, I have something in my hand that I can open there. I will share it equally with you when the time comes, he said. Okay, then hurry up. Okay. Half a day later, 5 figures fell on a grassy ground, and in front of them was a mountain peak with little vegetation, creating a sense of desolation. Yue Yang asked and said, Junior sister, is what you're talking about in this mountain? Yes, senior brothers, please check if there are any openings, and even the palm-sized ones should be pulled open, maybe it's the entrance. Okay, then look for it. You should take a look ahead here. 5 people separated, and in 15 minutes, Lin Ye found the cave entrance. Little junior sister, I found it. Upon hearing this, Helian Mo drove his magical tool with a faint cloud and flew away. The cave entrance was located on the back of the mountain, facing the direction of Lei Xiaozong. The entrance was slightly black and damp, and Bai Ziyi released a pill fire to illuminate the passage. Not long after, the 5 of them felt their gaze suddenly open, and the inverted stalactite in the center was particularly prominent, surrounded by some vines and other vegetation. Senior brothers, that good thing is right in that groove. We must hurry up and take it away. Yun Dandan pointed to a high stone. After walking over, the 4 of them were breathing rapidly. They had never seen so many spiritual creams before. Needless to say, they each took out their jade bottles and began to pack them at a fast pace. Looking at their hands that were as fast as shadows, the corner of her mouth twitched slightly. Senior brothers, how long have you been poor? Quickly, it had bottomed out, and there were only a few small drops of spiritual milk left. Okay, I need to do some tampering with the rest. 4th senior brother, please give me some medicine for diarrhea. Here you are. Helian Mo didn't ask and handed it over directly. Yue Yang was puzzled, but did not ask why he had taken the medicine. Junior sister, why do you want to keep a record? She will come. Who? A person who harms me. Yue Yang raised his eyebrows slightly and said, oh, why don't we add some more intestinal powder? The laxatives are too cheap for her. Yun lightly shook his hand and said, I need to conduct a few experiments and verifications. Take your time. Collect the things here and take what you can with you. If it's too late, you'll have trouble. Upon hearing this, the 4 of them stopped talking and began collecting in a relatively small cave. They discovered many spiritual herbs, which were also of a very good age. Use a cloth to absorb the grooves as dry as possible, and have a few senior brothers move some stones to cover the area where the spirit grass has been pulled out before leaving. 2/4 of an hour after the 5 of them left, 3 figures arrived slowly. Yun Piao looked at the black hole, which was only the size of a fist, and breathed a sigh of relief. He took out a token and used spiritual power to make a gesture before making way for the entrance. Let's go inside. In the distance, Yue Yang widened his eyes and said, Junior sister, that's from Lei Xiaozong. You said she will come, she's the only woman among those 3. Well, the youngest one is cloud fluttering. What? The person who caused your Dantian to be destroyed. I'm going to destroy her now. Wait a minute, not right now. As long as she's here, we won't be poor. Yun lightly grabbed the person who was about to stand up 4 people. Lianmo spoke up and said, Junior sister, what do you mean by this? Why don't we destroy her elixir field so we won't be poor? I can't tell you too much about this, otherwise I might suffer unknown harm. Yun Dandan felt depressed in his heart and couldn't tell you that this was the fate of the female lead. I came through a book and know when and where the female lead got the chance, right? Forget it, why don't you just stop talking and let's go back now? Wait a little longer. Not long after, the three of them quickly ran out of the cave entrance, and one of the men's figures ran towards a dense forest, while the remaining two seemed to be arguing. Miss Yun, we came with you because we trusted you. But now, senior brother is experiencing pain in his stomach due to a drop of spiritual milk. Did you take someone's benefit and secretly poison us in order to harm us? Senior brother, how could this be possible? I came with you, but you were the first to come into contact with that spiritual milk just now. The man glanced suspiciously. He had just entered and was the first to come into contact with it, but it didn't prevent her from secretly dropping something. However, that spiritual milk was indeed a good thing. Although it was only 2 drops, it could save half a month from absorbing spiritual power. Yun Piao was also feeling a lot of frustration now. He questioned the book through a voice. You said there is a spiritual milk, but it can make people have diarrhea. How can it be used if it's broken? Well, the news I've received is that there is indeed spiritual milk here, but I didn't expect it to be so rare. As for bad. How could spiritual milk be bad? The longer it takes, the better. There's also the possibility of forming spiritual milk crystals, which are even more precious things. Won't it be bad? Are you saying that the two of them want to take it all on their own? Yun Piao's eyes slightly turned and he spoke softly, Senior brother, I really don't know how this happened. Could it be that senior brother Su had eaten his stomach before he came? Why don't you also take a drop? I'll help senior brother protect the Dharma. The man glanced at the silent distant mountains and forests, took out the jade bottle in his hand, and drank it. Perhaps it was because Yun Dandan's hands trembled a lot during that time, and soon his face changed. He looked at the person in front of him with hatred and ran towards another weed. Cloud Piao trembled in her heart, looked left and right, and resolutely poured out the jade bottle lotion in her hand, so she would rather not pull it out. Where else is there spiritual milk? Don't tell me about this kind of thing that eats bad belly anymore. I'll think about it again. In the distance, Yun Faint furrowed his brow slightly. He knew lip language, and the female lead was clearly talking to someone, but around her were either people with higher cultivation than his senior brothers, or the contracted object mentioned in the original text. With this in mind, she carefully recalled the entire text and finally saw the name of the contracted object, Black Spirit, before the conclusion of the article. The opportunities that the female protagonist received were all told by the Black Spirit, including her own spiritual roots, which were all planned by it. Unfortunately, she did not see the outside world and did not know what the Black Spirit was. On the other side, Yun Piao waited anxiously with a black face. These two senior brothers had wasted a lot of their time bringing them over, and they must be allowed to taste the sweetness before they can continue to command in the future. Ah, I thought of it. There is a mountain about 10,000 miles away from here, and there are many spiritual grasses inside. Take them with you.